Alright, this is Nukewar by Avalon Hill, 1983. Really simple game. But the year is 1963. It can start all the way back to 1957 or so, I don't know. But pre-65, you can only build missiles and bombers. There's only two orders you can give: build or spy, B or S. And I'll put all the directions and comments are in the description below. But it's basically just spy, build up resources. After 65, you can build submarines, and you got to put them on the edge of the map. I guess that's your, like, the edge of the map. I mean, A, row A, or column A, column H, row 1, row 8. And then after 1970, you can build ABMs, which is kind of a misnomer, but it is what it is. And they look like little green double cannons, but again, simple game. All we're going to do is build up our forces, and then usually you can attack your opponent, or you can wait for them to attack you. Normally, if you attack them, you get first strike. Not guaranteed. So it's 1970, I'm going to put up some ABMs. But ABMs basically, they stop the incoming missiles from the subs and ICBMs, obviously. They don't do anything for bombers. You got to put up fighters to counter bombers. But anyway, why did I choose this opponent? Because Star Wars is in a pretty bad place. I mean, I was a fan ever since I was, 5 years old when I saw A New Hope for the first time. And even when it was not cool to be a Star Wars fan, I'd be honest with you, kind of got made fun of if you were a Star Wars fan. But when the special editions came out in the mid-90s, the tide kind of turned a little bit. I mean, the prequels were what they were. They weren't great by any stretch of the imagination, but Revenge of the Sith wasn't a bad movie. Then Disney bought Star Wars, and their first attempt was Rogue One. Delightfully boring movie, but it did have that one cool scene at the end with Darth Vader. But CGI Tarkin and CGI Leia were just... Tarkin was mildly jarring, and Leia was extremely jarring. So after that was The Force Awakens, which... Ooh, we're not negotiating with you, Kathleen Kennedy. The Force Awakens, I liked it when I was in the movie theater, but when I was walking out and I was talking to my wife, and she said, that movie really wasn't that good. And I was like, yeah, you're kind of right, it wasn't that good, but it did leave some questions that, if they would have pursued in Episode 8, that might have been cool, but instead they were just kind of balled up and thrown away. Thanks, Ryan Johnson. So after that was, of course, Episode 8, which was an awful movie all the way around, between the glaring continuity errors. I mean, even... So I can understand if some people find issues with Paige Tico, which this was a cool scene. I'm not gonna... It looked visually cool. But the Paige Tico dropping the bombs on the Dreadnought. Okay, so you can see that the bombs physically drop in space, which I don't understand, and they're falling through, I assume, is the vacuum of space. How is Paige Tico alive? That's one. There's several instances where the concept of vacuum and no atmosphere in space is kind of conveniently ignored. Mainly, Mary Poppins, Princess Leia, so that when she comes back through, when she Mary Poppins her ass through the wreckage to get back in the ship, they just slide open the door and she just falls in. Now, in Revenge of the Sith, they break the glass and make it a big deal that people do get sucked out into space. And Grievous, who's more robot than person, did survive in space, but he's not a human. So there's that. And if Luke wanted to be alone to die, oh yeah. So getting back to Paige Tico, Rose mourns for her is like way longer than Luke mourns Han. Luke doesn't give one fuck less if Han Solo's dead. He's like, where's Han? And then that's the last he ever talks about it or brings it up at all. Such a bad movie. Another glaring continuity error in that first battle sequence is, so the bombers are getting destroyed and like the fighter takes out one of the TIE fighters, and that TIE fighter, no, we're not negotiating with you, Kathleen Kennedy, you're taking your beating. That one TIE fighter like splinters into 3 parts and like takes out 3 separate bombers, like those bombers are made of paper. Like maybe they are made of paper, I don't know. But anyway, in the Praetorian Guard fight where Rey and Kylo, graphics are about to glitch out here, sorry. Just a little bug in the emulation here with this sequence of events. But anyway, Rey and Kylo are fighting the Praetorian Guard, and all of a sudden, like just out of the blue, the room seems to be catching on fire. So, but Holdo hadn't rammed the ship yet. So, I mean, again, that's another mind-boggling concept of using the ship as a weapon, as like a kamikaze weapon, which again, unheard of, and it breaks the it kind of breaks all the rules. But you know, hey, visually that was a stunning sequence. I kind of got goosebumps, but that's about it. I mean, like 5 minutes of that 5 minutes of movie didn't make it worth 2 hours and 2.5 hours of my time. And then Solo just flat out bombed because it was a movie that nobody wanted. And here's the total victory. Disney Star Wars attacks the Fandom Menace, and the Fandom Menace responds with a total victory. And that's the way Episode 9 is going to go down, just like Solo. So, declare war on the fans. They'll win. Every time. That's it for now. Thanks.